Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to an unboxing for the Railroad Inc. expansion sets. These are the extra expansion guides you can get. So I'm showing off, you can see the other videos where I've done the 4 big box sets, the main regular 2 base ones, and then the challenge ones, as well as I've done the expanded big boards and stuff. So these are just extra dice you can add to get more. If you want to add more of the little miniature expansions, so like each of the big boxes came with other expansions. Just knocked everything over. Oh well. So like we had the base game, the blue edition, which had rivers and lakes, which were just additional things you could add into the game. We had blazing red base game, which added the lavas and meteors. Then we had the challenge, which adds extra buildings and stuff to the game you can do. Add some challenge cards as well. So we had forests and trails to the game. And then finally we had the Shining Yellow edition, which added canyons and deserts. So I gave you quite a bit of additional things to do if you wanted to play outside of just the regular big white dice. And then now we have all this extra little sets you can pick up. Each one has 4 dice and adds at least, except for the underground, I should kind of say, all the rest add at least 2, kind of like the other ones did. But some of these add 3 or 4, which is actually kind of cool as well. Because all the base games, you always split up and you always use 2 extra dice for your stuff. Some of these you only use 1, some you use 3. You can kind of see on the side which ones each one are. But we'll go over each one of these in a row. So this might be a little bit longer video, just because there's so much content to go through. Alright, I'm going to start with Underground, because this is probably the one that's the most different than everything else. So Underground is actually almost its own special game. So it says, go below the surface with the subways and waterworks, play on your own or play 2 levels at once for the ultimate challenge. So each game is going to come with its little box full of dice, which are the same size as all the other dice. And then it's going to come with rule sheets here. I probably should have just pulled all these out ahead of time. Alright, so the very top here says when you play with an expansion star, you must roll the respective expansion dice along with the 4 root dice at the beginning of each round. In addition, expansion dice may change the number of rounds. You must play it. It might be new ways to score points. During the game, follow the same rules as the regular game with a few changes as described on the following pages. At the end of the game, you may add up your score. Remember to count the points you earn from the expansion set you're using and mark them in the design space. So that's going to be the same for every rule, so I'm not going to reread these for every expansion. So this one is different because you're going to use all 4 dice. It is a hard difficulty. It adds up to 14 rounds. I'm going to see if I can move my camera a little bit better. This paper is kind of glossy, so it's hard to read. Alright, to play the expansion, you're going to use 2 boards for each player. So 1 surface board and 1 underground. So this one actually makes it the most challenging expansion to play. So you pick up a base game, you have 4... you'll have 4 boards in there. So if you picked up underground along with 1 base game, it would be enough only for 2 players to play. You'd have to pick up two boxes for 4. Now, if you picked up all 4 boxes like I have, that means you could easily still play up to 8 players because you'd have, basically enough for each set. Now, if you want to use the bigger expansion boards in this set, then again, you're going to be kind of down to, you only get 4 of them in there, so you'll be down to a 2-player game. I mean, you could use them for bigger ones. I don't know if I would recommend it or how well it'll work. But that's going to say is, Think of them as two layers, one on top of the other. You will play the basic routes on the light curves on the surface board, following either the normal or challenge rules with the underground expansion dice. It says there are 4 underground dice, 2 different types of routes. Subway routes depicted with a single line, and water pipes, which can have water pipes or a subway route, so they can't both. It says now these 2 types of routes never connect, so they're in a sense they're going to work much like your railroads and regular roads. Is you're putting them on the board and they're not going to touch each other, they're not going to generally overlap or anything like that. Now it says give each player 1 board. They may choose either classic or challenge version, but every player have to have the same kind of board. So this just means that if player A wants to play the challenge board, then everyone has to use a challenge board on the top, and they have to use the bottom. It can also be another challenge board, or it can be a regular board. That doesn't matter as long as everyone's playing at the same amount. So you have to make sure everyone has the same amount of squares, and that so one person's playing at the same. Again, your game though, you can always adjust rules. Alright, so that's basically it. You're going to play 2 boards at once. So now this doubles the rounds from 7 to 14. And it's basically because when you play surface rounds. They play just like the normal game. So you play roll a white dice, you play the game as normal. Then you're going to roll the underground dice and create your underground system. So it's your second board is going to basically be a second full game. Each player must draw the results of these dice on their ground, following the underground placement restrictions. At any point during an underground round, a player may choose to use a duplication power to duplicate one of the underground dice for the current round, mark it by crossing off a special route. So instead of using the special routes at top, you basically replacing them with duplication power to let you duplicate a set of dice you've already rolled that turn. You can only use a total of 3 duplications. In a game, maximum 1 per round. So, same as special rules. It does not take up your special rules, though, on the other board. So you can still do your 3 special routes on the surface board, and you get 3 duplications on the underground board. When playing Railroad Inc., challenge boards as underground boards ignore all special buildings. So here we go. Placement restrictions. When drawing a route on an underground board, it must be connected to a pre-existing route or exit, a subway route, so the subways are the pipes. Nope, subways are the lines. So the lines can only be connected to a railroad. So the railroad's already a line with your little dashes on them. You can only connect them to another line. And your waterway pipes can only be connected to a road. So big, thick, open ones to big, thick. So line to line, thick to thick. Basically, easy enough to remember. You can never connect a water pipe to a subway route or a railroad exit. You can never connect them together. So, road to pipe, line to line. You can go over, and they can do a crossover. With a underpass. But you can't connect them the other direction. You can't run a pipe into a sewer line. So that's the basis of the game. So for the most part, you're going to play it just like a normal game. This one, because it's such a big one, does have a second set of rules. So you have interaction between the surface and underground. Now this is where the game gets a little bit tricky. So there are 2 types of interactions between the board. Creating hubs and gaining points by making matching points of subway stations and surface stations. Additionally, you will break a pipe and lose points if you draw surface stations above water pipes. So it says, to keep track of interactions between surface and underground, you should follow this courtesy rule. Whenever you draw a subway station on an underground board, draw a circle in the bottom right corner. So they're showing it right here. So I drew my little hub with the little circle. So then up on the top, I want to draw a little circle down there in the bottom so that I know that those 2 are adjacent, or one's on top of each other. So that way if I later on draw something on top of there, I know where it's at. And it says, if a station on a surface and a subway station on the ground share the same spot, respectively, fill in the subway hub making a circle. So now that I've placed this on top of that, you'll place a color in the circle and know it goes around the same spot. So like again, they're showing that. So if you do a subway or a train station up on top, put a circle on the bottom so you know that that's where that ran, and then the alternate way. Then that way you can look at one board to the other very quickly when you're playing that board to tell if you want to put something there or not. And then you can break pipes. So it says when drawing a station on your surface, check if there's a water pipe beneath it. If there is, it becomes a broken water pipe. Draw a zigzag line through the water pipe. As seen in the picture on the lower right, marked as broken. Drawing a water pipe underneath an already built surface will not break the pipe. So here in this image here, I know it's slightly hard to see, but they're showing because I already had a pipe there, I built the station where the ground was, I broke the pipe. So it's essentially saying you can, if there's already a building there, you can build a pipe under it. But you can't put a building on top of a pre-existing pipe. So it just gives you that more, the different idea of what you have to do. So that's what kind of makes this very interesting, is because it's this expansion. You're playing a full second board, but you kind of have to pay attention to where you're placing your stations to score extra points, and where you're placing your pipes as opposed to them stations, so you also score extra points that way. Judge scoring is fairly simple because it works just like the top route. You're going to gain points for the longest station, as well as the longest subway route, which are your lines, as well as you're going to get your longest pipes. So it says all exits connected to each other by water pipes form a network. The size of the network is equal to the number of connected exits. It works the same way as your as like your railroads and train and your regular roads. All exits and hubs connected to each other by a subway route create a network. The network is a size equal to the connected exits and hubs. You score a point for each of these networks. Yeah, so it's kind of neat. So you're getting a point there for every hub as well as every exit. You get the longest water pipe, which works at, rules for creating the longest routes, calculate your longest water pipe, double that score, and write it in the longest highway scoring space, and the broken water pipes do not interrupt the longest water pipe. The longest subway line, same way, calculate that. The center, gain point at the center space for, as usual, so you get points for points up in the center. And then errors, lose 1 point for each open-ended subway route or water pipe, lose 2 points for each broken pipe. Subway routes and water pipes do not connect at the edge of the board, do not count as errors. So that is one difference, is they don't count as errors. If they hit the edge of the board. As long as they're at the edge of the board, they're fine. And it's just add up all your points. So, and there's their example showing all the different ways they've connected. Yeah, so it's essentially just adding all of those together. Yes, it's definitely kind of fun. There is one other, there's a standalone variant you can play as well. When playing a standalone version, only play the underground board. Follow the rules of the expansion mode with a few changes. Only play 7 rounds. Don't use the surface board or white dice. Ignore all interactions between surface and underground boards. When you draw a subway station, if there is no hub in the same row or column, you must immediately transform that subway into a hub. Yeah, so every time there's not one already there, you're going to create an existing hub. Yeah, so it's just kind of a little bit different. Alright, so that is the underground. So we'll look at the dice quick. We'll try to look at the dice. If my camera will let me see if I can maybe angle this down a little bit better. Problem is they're translucent and my camera doesn't like that. But you'll have your corners, your double corners, four-way pipes. So you have a pipe that crosses next to a line, so that's definitely fine to do as well. You're going to get some more corners that cross over each other, single pipes, T-pipes, T-pipe with a hub, ones that cross over. Just some single lines, some more hubs, bunch of different ones there. And kind of like more of your basic shapes. So yeah, that is your underground set. Yeah, definitely interesting if you want a little bit more of a challenge, because you have to play a second board, but having to kind of manage two boards might be a little bit hard for some people. So they might not want to play that one. But that is definitely an interesting expansion. Alright, up next we're going to look at Sky. Just going to rotate my camera back up here. So we've already had some water ones with like the lakes and rivers, so now we're going to kind of get into the sky aspect of it. And we're going to get some cool new dice. I'll kind of zoom in and let you sit on those for a sec while I pull up the instructions. One thing I love about these is that all the dice are different colors. Like lots of these are translucent, just to help them stand out. But they're all different colors, different shades. So that way you can kind of, maybe not super easy because you might just see blue initially, but at least blue you know that you're doing either lake, river, or sky ones. And then you can jump in and grab a different color. But it does at least make it a little bit easier than just having them all like white dice that you have to figure out. Alright, so the Sky expansions, we've already read this top part. The first set of dice we have are the weather dice, which is a difficulty easy 7 rounds. With the new meteorological control system, you are able to control the skies over your country to try to avoid putting different types of clouds next to each other to avoid unstable weather. Every round you'll have to assign 2 weather dice results to 2 of the normal routes you draw. At the end of the game, you will score the biggest area for each meteorological phenomena, but avoid making these areas touch or they'll not count for scoring. When playing weather expansion, apply these changes. So each round you must draw the 2 weather dice, cloud, storm, or snow. In 2 of the spaces where you drew routes this round. So you're going to be drawing at least 4 every time, unless you're duplicating because of buildings or using a special route. So at least 2 of those you have to place weather. So basically, you could draw your stuff first and then decide where to put the weather because they don't affect the routes at all. Draw the weather symbol in the lower right corner of the space. Remember the plus. You can only add weather space where you already drew a route in this current round. Which is just saying it's adding it to that. At the end of the game, you get 1 point for each space in your biggest area of orthogonal, so it's up, down, left, right. Adjacent clouds, you do the same with the biggest storm and snow areas. The 2 areas of different types are orthogonally and or diagonally adjacent to each other. They do not count. So like here it's showing we have a bunch of clouds, and we have a cloud in each corner. And then here we have 3 storm, which is bigger than these 2 storm, but because the 3 storm and the 2 snowflakes are next to each other, even diagonal at 1 space, it cancels out both of them. So this actually makes that kind of interesting. You got a plan where you want to put these. But again, you can draw your spaces first, and then you can put your weather down. So if you get 2 of the same ones, it might dictate you might want to maybe change and draw your things closer together versus spreading your stuff out. So that is that. So here are our weather dice. Put them here. So we're going to get a cloud. And they're all just going to be the same. So we're going to have storm clouds on 2 sides. 2 sides with, 3 sides with regular clouds. So you get a little bit more of them. And then 2 sides with snowflakes. So you're not going to get the snowflakes and the storm clouds as much Snowflakes are on one side of each. Storm clouds are on 4 sides total. And then the other ones are all the regular. So you get a lot more clear, a little bit of storm, less snow. Yeah, they're neat translucent blue. So that's definitely cool. Alright, then up next we're going to look at airline dice. Airlines are a third kind of route. They can't be used to connect to exits. This is a medium difficulty of 6 rounds. But they can be connected to each other to create an airport network which can be connected to your regular routes by building airports. At the end of the game, you'll score points for the longest airways, but you'll lose points for your open-ended airways and for unconnected airports when playing the airport expansion uses these rules. 6 rounds. When you draw a route, you do not have to draw any airline dice if you do not want to, but you still have to use your regular ones. So again, you're not forced on this one. So only draw them if they're going to make sense. The airline dice you draw don't have to connect to a pre-existing routes and or airline results. You can't connect airline rights to any other kind of routes or exits. When you draw an airport, it automatically connects to any pre-existing route with an open end leading to the space of the airport. So that's figures 1 and 2. So basically this is showing is on 1, I drew an airport right in the middle there. Then I immediately connect all 3 sides. So this will connect the road on the top, the railroad on the left, and the airway on the bottom. So when you draw an airport, it automatically connects all your things together. So it says instead of using one of your special routes, you may delete it to draw an airport in any empty space. You may also do this when activating your third university. Networks connect to the same airway network via airports and routes. Also are connected to each other. So that means this is basically you can use the airports on here to extend your roads, extend your railroads, or extend your airlines, or your airway routes. Airports do not interrupt your longest highway and or your longest railroad. At the end of the game, you get 2 points for each space of your longest airway, but you must start from the edge of your board or from an airport and stop counting at the edge of an edge or an airport. In any game, you lose 2 points for each open-ended one and 4 points for each railroad that is not connected to an airway. So, like in here, they're showing you're going to start with the bottom here and count each one, and it's going to count from the edge of the board up through this airport. So it doesn't have to go from exit to exit, but it has to at least go from airport to airport at bare minimum. But you can also see for the sake of like roads and stuff, is this gonna... Now, if this airport had been connected to this airport via a road, you could have had your longest road go that way. But it connected with an airway, so that doesn't count. But here it's showing you're going to get some minus points because that's not connected to anything. Yeah. And then you're going to get 1 minus 4 point down here because that airport wasn't connected to anything either. So then the other thing this is showing is on figure 3B, which I skipped over by accident. It says when you draw a route with an open end leading to a space of the airport, immediately connect that route to the airport. So if I draw this in 3B, it's like up here, when I drew an airport, it automatically finished off the connection. If you draw something next to an airport, it automatically connects afterwards. So that's basically how that one works. That was a lot quicker than the other one. And that's how most of the rest of these go. But then we're going to get some airports on here. We'll have some of these, which are fun. You're going to get some airways and railroads. Let me see if I can tilt this down a bit. Yeah, some roads, some airways, just some straights, some different ones there. Some that mix together in angles. One that crosses over at the highway. So yeah, this one's also kind of fun because it adds the extra little thing you can do. Them airports can be helpful for connecting stuff. You can gain some extra points if you can connect your airways. But it doesn't disrupt the overall game that much. So alright, I'm going to call this for part 1 of the unboxings, and then we'll do the other 5 in the next one, just because that first one took so long. Alright, so I'll see you guys in part 2. Bye.